On October 18th of 2022, Cedar Fair announced that they're going to be adding 2 new year-round parks to their lineup. Before that, Knott's Berry Farm out in Orange County, California, they were the only year-round park, and they were open 365 days a year. Mm-hmm. So you could go on a Wednesday in February.
Yeah, you can go literally any day of the year.
These 2 parks, which were Carowinds and Kings Dominion, were not going to be open all year. Mm-hmm. Well, they were going to be open all year, but not 365 days a year. They were only going to be open Saturdays and Sundays, and they were going to throughout the whole year. Now, both of those parks took part in what Cedar Fair calls Winterfest. Mm-hmm. And Winterfest is just kind of a holiday event.
It's a holiday event that takes place during like Christmas time, and they have lots of lights and festivities, stuff like that.
But limited coasters.
Yes,
and rides,
limited
right?
coasters and rides. Not all the rides are open.
And that closes on New Year's Eve. And other parks like Kings Island in the Cedar Fair chain, mm-hmm. Kings Island and California's Great America, they did Winterfest also. But now, Carowinds and Kings Dominion was just going to kind of extend Winterfest. And that's kind of all this was just an extension of Winterfest, except without the holiday lights and the parades and stuff like that. So it was going to extend all the way through January, February, and both of those parks tended to open. They have their opening day around like middle of March or so, late March or whatever. So you basically got about 2.5 months of extra time at those 2 parks with these extended hours. And that with 2 days a week, that's what, about 20 or so days added onto their calendar year. Now, this experiment, and we're going to call this an experiment because I feel like that's what this was.
Probably, because parks have to figure stuff out. I mean, anybody has to figure stuff out before they fully commit to it.
And Tony Clark said something at the Q&A at Coaster Mania at Cedar Point this past year that made me really kind of like question if they're going to keep this. Granted, Tony Clark works at Cedar Point, not Cedar Fair, but Cedar Fair owns them all, and they kind of run all the parks like pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. So what he said whenever I asked the question about a specific event, now I asked, will this event come back to Cedar Point because it hasn't been back since COVID? Mm-hmm. And he said that they're not bringing it back because the crowds just didn't justify it.
Yeah.
So now we have to look at these parks being open year round and say, okay, did the crowds justify it? Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that really stood out over the past couple months here is I saw on Twitter all the time, Kings Dominion was closed a lot because of inclement weather. Now, if you know, Kings Dominion is in Doswell, Virginia. So it's kind of a middle ground area as far as weather. And Carowinds is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, kind of a middle ground. Those 2 places will not get extremely cold, but they can get down into like the 30s even and get a little bit of snow from time to time, especially Doswell, Virginia. It's not like one of the Florida parks or LA parks.
I mean, those aren't like some extreme warm weather like place that you go to the beach even when it's winter and it's still like 80 degrees. It's not like that, but it's still warmer than most places up north, obviously.
I looked back at AccuWeather. AccuWeather shows like entire month of past months and shows like the weather. And I looked back at the dates that I saw Kings Dominion was closed, that they said on Twitter that they were closing. And basically those days were like low 40s, like 40, 41, 42 degrees or so. So that told me that Kings Dominion, if it reaches low 40s, they're not even going to bother opening. Mm-hmm. So you have a park that's supposed to be open. You have to staff it. You have to have people that are supposed to be coming into work and they think they're going to work, but boom, 40-degree temperatures tomorrow are forecasted. So, hey, you guys aren't going to come to work. So it's kind of hard to keep staffing whenever you're only supposed to work a couple days a week.
Yeah.
And I just find that kind of hard to believe that people are going to sign up to work for something like that year after year. Now, Carowinds, they seem to have stayed open more consistently and kept their regular schedule. But crowds, like what were crowds like all year? And we looked on Q Times, and they have like a crowd forecaster and stuff like that. And pretty much it showed us that the past couple months have been just dead.
Well, yeah, not many people have been going to these parks in the wintertime, which, I mean, the people that are going are probably locals and people that live by the parks and are pass holders. Not many people are probably going to be traveling from from far away, because not all the rides are open at them.
Yeah, and like you said, pass holders.
Mm-hmm.
I really wonder what percentage of the people coming to the parks, because I have to figure there's not more than like probably an average of 10,000 people a day at each of these parks. And that's very low attendance. I mean, I don't even know if it got that high on some of these days, especially some of like the colder days in Charlotte for Carowinds.
Yeah.
So you have to wonder who's actually going to be going and paying for a regular ticket to go to these. It'll probably be mostly, like you said, pass holders who are like, hey, you know what? If we go, no big deal. If it's kind of cold or if things end up not opening, not a big deal. We're not out any money or anything like that. So what are they going to do with this experiment? Are they going to find that it's worth it? Are they going to find that trying to find staffing and keeping the rides open and keeping maintenance staffed and keeping all these people, are they going to do that just for an extra 20, like we said, maybe like 20 or so days a year where they're not bringing in large crowds? Personally, I think Carowinds is pulling it off a little bit better, and I think Carowinds will survive this. But my personal prediction is that maybe not next year, but I think within the next year or two, I think they're going to get rid of Kings Dominion's year-round operations.
Possibly. I think it definitely is a possibility. I don't know if they will or not. It's tough. I mean, it depends on if the people that are going is enough for them to still make money, because even if it's not many people, it's still like 10,000 people is still a lot of people. So it's not a lot of people relative to parks, but it's still a lot of money coming in. So I don't know if it'll work out or not. I don't work at Kings Dominion, so I don't know. But if it does,
like you said, it all comes down to the money. So if they are, and I mean, we don't know if they're making the money in order to not only cover their costs, but obviously they want to turn a profit from this. So that's what it'll all come down to. If they're turning a profit from it, which I'm doubting they are, so that's why I'm saying that Kings Dominion will probably maybe stay another year and see if it picks up, because it's the first year for both of them to be open year round. So maybe they'll give it each one like a year or two or a couple years in order to see if like maybe more people aren't aware that they're open all year round right now. So maybe try to see if people will start to funnel in next year, and if crowds start to squeak up a little bit each year, maybe they'll hold on to it. But I think currently, the way it is, I think that if crowds stay the same over the next year or two, I don't see Kings Dominion staying open. Maybe even Carowinds. They might go back down to closing down for January and February and just reopening. And on top of that, it's kind of confusing because we're thinking about taking a trip down towards the Kings Dominion area. And I called Kings Dominion and said, hey, when is your normal, because like we said, they have right now limited rides.
Yeah.
So I said, when do your rides all open back up and do you become just normal park operations, just like what would be an opening day? Because that's the only time that we want to go down there is when everything's open.
Yeah.
And they said that they didn't have a specific date told to them yet. And I found that kind of odd, like, okay, because by now, if they were closed all winter, they would have an opening date by now. So I found it kind of odd. So I think maybe they're still working it out. Maybe they're just kind of going through and not really like 100%.
Right,
they didn't have a complete plan going into this.
And it is hard to figure out because it, like before, there's just an opening date. So, and now there's not an opening date if they're always open.
Now they gotta have an opening date for all their coasters.
And that they don't
rides.
have. So I don't know if stuff will just slowly open or everything will open like one date.
Because, how you said things might slowly open, that seems to be what Carowinds is doing. Because Carowinds, Fury, Copperhead Strike, Afterburn, like a lot of those rides have been open. And now I saw they said this weekend right here, and today's February 19th or something like that. 18th. So it's Saturday, February 18th, and this weekend, Carowinds was opening Intimidator. So that means that they are kind of slowly, they just added another ride that's going to be open. And then right now closed, I think, is Hurler and a couple other Carolina Gold Rusher, and Carolina Cobras or whatever. So there's a few that are still closed, but all their main ones seem to be open right now. Mm-hmm. So what you said, slowly open things up, that might be how like Kings Dominion ends up doing.
Yeah, I mean, so they're just probably slowly opening up for like what rides can take certain temperatures. Like if a ride can take colder temperatures, then they would open it up, but if another one can, they'll keep it closed until it gets closer and closer to spring and summer.
Yeah. But so ultimately, I think my opinion is that Kings Dominion is going bye-bye for winter. Why don't you guys let us know? Did you guys, because we didn't make it down to either of these parks for the winter time like this. So if you did, then go ahead and drop a comment below. How was it?
Say what it's like in this new winter, like in January or whatever.
Yeah, was it completely dead? Was everything a walk on? Were things just kind of like so-so? And before we go, we'd like to take this moment to thank everyone for watching the video.
Yes,
we appreciate all of you. We appreciate all our subscribers very much. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you go down there and subscribe.
You should definitely subscribe. Like that would just be great. I say this every video, but I'd be very happy.
Yeah. We keep pumping out new videos. And so if you found this one enjoyable, you'll probably find the other ones enjoyable. So thank you. Thank you to our channel members. We'll list them right here. Thank you guys very much.
And if you want your name on this great list,
oh my gosh,
then you can just go to the description and click a link. And guess what? Where that link will take you? It will take you to something called channel members, and you can join and be a member and get all sorts of perks and support us and get your name right here. That sounds pretty cool to me.
And you get exclusive videos and stuff like that. So, but that's it for this video. Thank you guys all for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time on You Do It This Time.
Peace Studios, I think.